We learned Citigroup is discussing a currency settlement with the Justice Department. That's from a quarterly filing. With us, who better than to comment on this situation? Dick Parsons, he's the former chairman of Citigroup. Dick, I say who better because you know what the inside of the banking industry is like. It's a whole lot different today, perhaps worse than it was when you were chairman of Citigroup. It's Citigroup, it's JP Morgan, it's UBS, it's RBS. They're all going to have to plead guilty, presumably, to the Justice Department on Wednesday in connection with this investigation into currency rigging.
Well, you know, there's an old adage, you can't fight City Hall. The banks are in no position to really resist the regulators on any of these things. You can't take them to the mat because they just have too many handles on you. So I don't have any insider knowledge as to, with respect to this particular series of transactions. What I will say is the big banks are still in the penalty box. They're still in the penalty box coming out of 0809. And they're going to be there for a while because, my opinion, I think the regulatory regimes around the world have decided they're too big. They really want to put pressure on them to, not to bust them up, but to get them smaller, less risky. And also, as someone told me when I was chairman of Citibank, the people are still angry at the banks. And
well, that's why the banks are anticipating that come the elections in November of next year, once again, they're going to be punching bags, and they're going to become political fodder, on presumably for the progressive arm of the Democratic Party. Is there anything these banks can do to prevent that from happening, or is that just an inevitability?
I think it's an inevitability, but I also think that the banks will survive because we need the banks. Actually, the reality is, this whole thing comes to a halt without these big intermediaries, and so they just have to survive. They got to get their heads down, stick to their knitting, try and push as much risk out of the system as they can, although it's just going into the shadow banking system.
But that's it. It seems like banks are doing everything they can, but they still can't catch a break. People hate them as much as ever. Employees don't want to be there anymore, and regulators have the clamp on them. So what can the Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfeins of the world do? Get new jobs? See if Providence is hiring?
I'll tell you what someone said. Yeah, right. So what someone told me, when you're going through hell, the only thing you can do is keep going.
But when will it end?
A couple years. A couple years, I think. It can't continue forever and ever. But I think the banks are, they're going to be in the penalty box for another couple, 3 years.
All right, well, you either go through hell or you don't. I want to break this right now. Deutsche Bank's global head of fixed income, Rich Herman, has just announced moments ago he's leaving the firm after 20 years. Now, is he going to Comcast? Is he going to Carlyle? Is he going to Providence? No. In his memo to staffers, he is leaving Deutsche Bank, quote, to walk the earth. Now, this is similar that we heard from the CFO of Google, but if you're coming from the tech world, you're just so damn rich, you're like, I'm just going to party the earth. But what does it say about career bankers, people who've spent their lives working inside an organization who say, you know what, I'm hanging it up? What does it say about the industry?
It's tough. I mean, it really is tough.